Hello, DevOps friends. Hey, Exegete. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is my office hour, where I answer your questions. You ask questions, and you please post them to qa.monospacementor.com because I can field them there. I can select them there. You can also upvote questions if you like. And I can then display them on screen so everyone who is just joining knows and has some context what I'm talking about. So, first of all, I have my nice little macro data refinement keyboard in front of myself today. It's really fun typing on this one with the high profile keycaps and everything. So that is fun. And other than that, is there any other update? No, I don't think so. So I guess since we already have 2 questions, let's get right into things and answer some questions. Exegete scored himself an Advantage 360. You splurged, didn't you? How is it? How are the key wells? And, well, you are already used to a split keyboard anyway, so I'm not going to ask about that, but how does it feel? Actually, I'm not really enticed getting new keyboards anymore. I think I'm pretty much covered. No wires. Does it make such a difference? Because, I mean, I have always a USB cable on my desk anyway, so is it so much of a difference? I mean, you're not going to go to the coffee shop with an Advantage 360, are you? Yeah, so I have split keyboards, I have monolithic keyboards in all sizes and shapes, and I mean, once in a while there's a pretty one, but then I remind myself that pretty alone is not really worth spending hundreds of euro on a keyboard if I've already run out of space for keyboards. Actually, I need to get rid of a few just to get enough shelf space again. So especially the ones that I used in the early days, those early off-the-shelf keyboard company keyboards, I need to give away, or yeah, I'll probably give them away simply to make space for something more important. Okay, makes a huge difference to you. It's less distracting. I see. Makes perfect sense. By the way, shouldn't there be chat on screen here? Doesn't disappear that quickly, does it? Let me see if there's something broken. No, it's actually just the chat seems to disappear quite quickly. Okay. Yeah, I mean $300 is not nothing, isn't it? But you got a refurb one. That's clever. Smart thing to do. Anyway, we're not here to talk about keyboards. We're going to answer your questions. So let me get them on screen for you, and I'll simply start from the top. What is a feature other frameworks or languages have which you wish Ruby / Rails had? That's an interesting one. And it's a challenging one because I don't often reflect on that. I mean, there are things that draw me to other languages, such as Go. First of all, static typing, of course. But to wish Ruby would have something like that is basically wishing for Crystal. So that's there already. Ruby with static typing, i.e. Crystal, is still something different than Ruby. So that's not something I would wish for to be implemented in Ruby, actually. I would simply switch to Crystal if that was the case, or rather, since I need it I'm going to need it for our DevOps stuff, is to finally get deeper into Go. What else did I spot? I'm pretty happy with Ruby as it is. Maybe Ruby but compiled? That would be nice. Especially if it would do the same thing as Go, compile everything into a single binary. That would be pretty nice, because that would mean that I could probably, yeah, something like Ruby Wasm actually. That would be something that I could then directly use. That would pretty much eliminate the initial need for Go, because the first reason I'm going to use Go in practice for my business is going to be being able to simply deploy a single statically linked binary everywhere on all of our servers and get that running. The advantages of using Go in a DevOps environment, because Go has very good support for that, and is of course the main language in the Kubernetes ecosystem, that's still secondary to me. So if I was able to deploy a Ruby application or a command line application easily, that would probably also be neat. That would be very neat, yeah. What else is there? Maybe some native development environment support, i.e. something like RBenv. But why would I want that to be built into Ruby or come with Ruby? I can always use RBenv, or today I discovered something new that can bridge across programming languages. It's called, what is it called? Miso? Mizu? I think it's called Miso. Yeah, because it alludes to the French term mise en place, which means everything in its place. It comes from French cuisine, and so mise, as it's called, it's not miso, it's not miso, it's simply mise. Mise is another dev environment manager, but it's language agnostic. It supports a bunch of languages, including Go and Ruby, so I'm definitely going to look into that. It would allow me to consolidate everything into a single tool, regardless if I was working on a Ruby project or a Go project. And people seem to be pretty happy with Mise as well. So that wouldn't be a feature request from me. Exegete asks, have you looked at the Shopify Ruby TUI gem? No, I haven't yet. That's interesting too. A TUI gem, you say? That would be neat. It would also make it easier for me to write something like a Ruby-based BBS system. On it, that's a complete tangent, but I need to get it out. We actually, Exegete and I talked about it shortly on my Discord earlier, and if you would like to join the conversation. Feel free to join us on our Discord server. Thank you. I'm very interested in Publix. Publix is something that has been around for quite a while. Hey, Marcus, how you doing? Publix are public Unix systems. Unix systems to which you can easily get a free shell account. You can log into the system, and then not only can you use a Unix system, that in itself wouldn't entice too many people, I guess. It would entice me, definitely. But these Publix systems usually have also community features built in, like a local IRC server, so users can actually chat with each other, things like that. And I'm pretty much interested in that. I am thinking about running such a Publix system myself, and having something like a GUI-based BBS system where people can actually leave messages like back in the day, but this time logged in via SSH. That sounds pretty neat. It was something that I was thinking about when I launched geekdom.social, my Mastodon instance, but it never turned out to be a community experience for myself as the admin. I was hoping I'd get that sysop feeling back that I had back in the day when I ran my own BBS system on my parents' phone line. And maybe such a Publix system would be something that could actually achieve that. And having a Ruby-based BBS system as a project would also be pretty neat for this stream, I think. What do you think? Having me develop a BBS system in Ruby would be quite the nice practice exercise, I think. And so I'll definitely look into the Ruby TUI gem that Exegete mentioned. Mu asks, maybe a terminal theme for the community discourse? Yeah, but discourse isn't quite what I'm having in mind. It's so, as every chat system is, so ephemeral, and still, and it wouldn't be a system I run myself like I did back in the day. So, oh, okay. We need LORD, Lord. Yeah, that makes sense. So the BBS system would need to support door games. Okay. Noted. I'll note that down as a feature request, but let's get back to the question. We only have limited time today, so yeah. If something comes to mind, I'll get back to that question. I'll simply follow up with that. But yeah, actually I'm pretty happy with what Ruby offers at the moment. And yeah, I think the main thing that would really make my day would be being able to deploy Ruby applications easily, ideally as a single binary or something like that. A Ruby compiler, as it were. We'll see if that ever sees the light of day. Now, there's a second question, and if you have additional questions, dear viewers, please feel free to post them to qa.monospacementor.com. I'll get them on screen as I do now, and do my best to answer them. Any question that is in the realm of DevOps, software engineering, SRE, SecOps, IT career, all these things are very appropriate for this office hour. Moo says, I understand that. I want to try Go, try at Go and Charm.sh to build a CLI app. With Charm, it's not too hard to build an SSH-based service as well. Yep, it is. And it would be a reason to get into Go as well and learn Go. So maybe I should try out Charm in practice. I've already looked at it several times, so, but yeah, so try out Bubblegum and Co. Simply to get me into Go, yeah, would probably also make a lot of sense. Now, next question was, how are you leveraging AI in your day-to-day work? Not much, to be honest. I'm still pretty much wary of the whole ethical side of things, and so I try to... I'm wavering. I'll be honest, I'm really wavering, because on one side I'd like to have tools that are ethical and don't violate everyone's rights, in this case intellectual property rights. And on the other hand, I mean, those LLMs can come in pretty handy. So I'm not a complete adversary in that regard. I do have Copilot integrated into NeoVim at the moment, simply to try it out again, because GitHub made access to it free. And occasionally I'm also using Claude, simply because for me as a non-native English speaker, it makes things a lot easier as well. Sometimes I need a specific phrasing, or I know there is a certain idiom for the thing that I'd like to express, but I can't think of it. And asking an AI, I want to say this and this, and simply circumscribe what I want to say, usually gets me a usable answer. And actually, I've been working on contract stuff this week and needed to get something translated into English, into legal English actually. And I used Claude for that as well and got a very useful answer there as well, something that I could directly use. And I couldn't do that by myself properly. And search engines wouldn't also be a great replacement in that regard, because it would be pretty hit and miss to actually find something in the sense that I was looking for. And so yeah, when it comes to language stuff, spoken language stuff, I do use AI simply to fill in the gaps that I have as a non-native English speaker. But other than that, it's not really a regular part of my toolbox. Yet, at least. Another aspect that gets me drawn to AI is, of course, its popularity. So it's simply the gravity these LLMs have built up, because everyone uses them. Well, not everyone, but yeah, you know what I mean. And as someone who is building up a teaching platform and giving courses and things like that, someone who wants to help new people to grow in the DevOps space, I also need to be able to answer the AI question. How can I use AI in software engineering? How can I make the most of it in an SRE context? Things like that. And simply by keeping my distance from it, I won't be able to answer these questions in a useful manner. And so I pretty much need to be at least decently up to date with these things and know what they can and can't, and still being very aware of the ethical side of things though. So yeah, it's difficult to describe my relationship with AI, and it'll probably stay for the time being, simply because there's pretty much this dichotomy between usefulness and the ethical aspect. Now, and then there's another AI question. Can ChatGPT translate those 512 syllable hyper-specific German words? Not sure, but since I mostly don't use these myself, even in German, and especially not in a legal context when I'm dealing with contracts and things like that, that's something that I haven't encountered yet. But what would be funny would be to try and use ChatGPT to generate new 512 syllable hyperspecific German words for things that don't have an equivalent in German, actually. So maybe that's something to do for fun over the weekend. All right, is there still coffee left? Because I have the window open. It's getting pretty chilly in here, but I need that because of the oxygen. But it also means that my coffee gets cold pretty quickly. Yeah, that's the stuff. There is still one more question left. Please go to qa.monospacementor.com to post your questions if you have any. And let's keep this list growing. Let's say you have created a SaaS and are about to scale and improve it. How would you prioritize what to spend your time on? New features versus enhancements or polishes of current functionality, including bugs, UI, UX? Interesting question. That's a dilemma I think every SaaS business finds themselves in sooner than later. Because of course, as a new business, you are probably very feature driven, and especially your product management people and marketing people will certainly push for features, new features and improved existing features. And as developers, we of course also are inclined to fight technical debt and try to improve on what's already there in our code base. And so it's always going to be a balancing act. If you solely focus on building new features and improving existing ones, you will end up with technical debt that might sink your ship. If you simply follow the wishes of your developers and perfectionize your code, you won't find many more customers. So I think ideally it's something that gets balanced out via discussion on a regular basis between product managers and developers. I can't imagine any other approach, because you definitely will need both in the long run. You will need to make your customers happy, and that means what you are offering needs to be polished, and what you are going to offer needs to be at least viable, usable. So the feature side of things will always be a goal, but you also need to keep your stuff maintainable, and that requires refactoring, removal of technical debt, removal of outdated dependencies, replacement of dependencies that don't exactly do what you need anymore, things like that. So there's no clear yes/no answer here. Going back to the actual question, how would you prioritize? My answer to that would be by having regular meetings, sit-downs where these things get discussed. What new features are on the roadmap, and where do we have issues with existing features, and how do we need to improve our existing code base and the whole architecture in order to be able to scale, for example. Because another thing, or something that new startups are prone to fall for, is to build for scalability from the get-go. Everyone seems to think of themselves as a future unicorn owner and builds in scale from the get-go, making things much more complex than they need to be in the beginning. And that might actually exacerbate the refactoring, and it might actually mean that you will spend more time on architecture and code than necessary for your existing small customer base. And in that phase of a business, I would rather focus on features, on gaining a market share, things like that. And then it's a matter of that balance that I mentioned, to get into a cadence where feature work is weighed against maintenance work and maintainability work, because that's the only way you will keep existing in the long run, I think. Does that make sense? If there is anything specific that you'd like to follow up on, please feel free to post another question on the board. Exit Sheet making a good point here. I would say that you will not know which features to build until you need them, but a single bug can drive a new client away so quickly. It's a balance, as I said. I would recommend reading the book Tidy First to get some insight. That's an interesting recommendation, and a useful one, actually. And I'll make a note of that. So let me see, let's go into Obsidian, create a new book note. And Tidy First, huh? Tidy First, oh, by Kent Beck, actually. Okay, so this can be recommended immediately. What broke here? I think that should be okay now. Here we go. Tidy First. Interesting. Yeah, need to get my hand off on that. Awesome. Thanks for the recommendation. So, I've run out of coffee and I've run out of questions. So, I'm going to simply sit here and wait for questions to come in. I haven't prepared anything else, so that's all I'm here for. I'm here for you, and you do the programming of this stream today. actually getting a little bit nippy in here. 16 degrees is a little bit low. And I think we are good on the CO2 side of things at the moment. 570 is okay. So I will close the window. I'm confident that the Tidy First book will eventually be available on Humble Books, which has become one of my main sources of ebooks actually. I try to wean myself off Amazon as far as possible, and Humble Book bundles are a great way to get tech books because for a few euro you can get a whole bundle, well, as the name says, a whole bunch of books, 10, 15, maybe 20 books for the price of one. And oftentimes those books are O'Reilly books, and so I'm optimistic that eventually there will be a Humble bundle with Tidy First included, and that's when I'll pull the trigger on that book. And on the rest of the books as well, as of course. I've even been buying enough Humble Books to realize that oftentimes these bundles have overlap between each other, which is unfortunate, but it's definitely a way to get stuff very quickly and for a low price. Once more, qa.monospacementor.com is where you can leave your questions. There's still a few minutes left for me to answer them, so let's get them in there. Come on, there must be a question that you'd like to ask. At least a tech question. I won't be able to answer the big question of life, but tech questions, there's a pretty good chance that I'll come up with something. Friday again, so I'm excited that I'll be able to do some karate training later. Even though we will be a little bit constrained later because the school whose gym we usually use needs it for exams or a musical or something like that. So we'll have to train in the actual school's foyer, and that will be pretty cramped. So it will be a little bit limited what we can do tonight, but still, karate trainings are still highlights of my week. So there is another question. Nice one too. not sure how I'm going to answer the question. What is the most enjoyable piece of software you've ever used? What and why? The most enjoyable piece of software. And hi, Storyman. Welcome. Happy Friday to you. The most enjoyable piece of software. Pirates. I guess you're referring to the old C64 and maybe Amiga game. But you're actually you actually reminded me that we don't just talk open source software and up to contemporary software. So let's widen the net here. And I've ever used that question also reminds me of of the fact that I need to get back to doing regular gratitude journals. Because that should be part of that. I'd be able to reference my gratitude journal for things like that. Okay, so what am I using or did I use in the past that really was delightful? I'll write that question down because it's something that I don't usually reflect on. And I think it would be very healthy and fun to do that regularly. Everything has become so utilitarian when you do IT stuff professionally. And stuff being enjoyable isn't really a factor anymore, isn't it? But that definitely leads me to one answer, because there is at least one software whose express purpose is to make people happy, and that's Ruby. If you look at the Ruby author's main goals, it's developer happiness. And I think that shows. I do have a lot of fun and I do enjoy coding in Ruby. It's one of the reasons, not only my time constraints, but also the fun of doing Ruby is one of the reasons why I haven't branched out into any other languages in the last decade or so. What else was there, or has been there, or is there? I'm probably falling to the recency bias here, but yeah, something like the BBS software I ran back in the day definitely was enjoyable as well. Even though I might simply have forgotten about all the nags that it had. What else? Is there so little enjoyable stuff in my IT life? That would be really sad, wouldn't it? I guess Obsidian also makes the cut here. It's really efficient in terms of quick note-taking, also hyperlinking notes, building a body of knowledge based on simple markdown files with a huge choice of plugins that make specific things easier or even possible in the first place. So yeah, Obsidian is another very enjoyable piece of software. Stryman says, I have been a TDD enthusiast for over 10 years. The greatest test library I've ever used is without any doubt RSpec, a Ruby test library. Yeah, RSpec is definitely also something fun, and I guess it's no coincidence that many TDD frameworks or applications lean on the RSpec syntax in these on these expectations. And I mean, one of the main reason is that I started out using RSpec instead of something like Minitest, but it's definitely also it's also the quality of RSpec that I usually start Rails projects with RSpec as my test framework and not Minitest, even though Minitest comes out of the box. Hey Balthazar, how you doing? Joining the Obsidian camp? Yep, yeah, I think Obsidian definitely has a place on this list. Tired? Yeah. Join the club. Launch prep crunch. Okay. Take care of yourself. Yeah, RSpec definitely has the advantage of being the OG framework here in that sense. Clones try to be the same, but not reaching the original. Ooh, there's another OCaml coder. Okay. I sometimes see TJ DeVries do OCaml streams and OCaml videos on YouTube. Haven't looked into it too much yet, but it also piqued my interest. And you're building a test framework for OCaml, and that one comes close? Interesting, interesting. Feel free to post the GitHub link and we'll go and star it. Huh. Yeah, I'll take that question into the weekend with me and we'll reflect on it. Because, yeah, I think we deserve working with enjoyable software, don't we? Great question. Thank you for asking it. And as it says, please submit your questions and like those sent by others at qa.monospacementor.com. Oh, nice. All right. Let's grab that link. OCaml test runner. That's so interesting. Yeah, just looking at the screenshot on your README, and that definitely says, yeah. Once I do functional programming, I definitely need to switch on ligatures in my programming font. Okay, it's almost 3 o'clock. So, final questions. And there's my little one ringing the door. So I'll take a quick break. You feel free to post a question on the board, and I come back and answer the remaining questions, and then we'll wrap things up. So I'll see you in a minute. It's me, I'm back, and there aren't any questions on the board left, which means we can go right ahead and wrap things up. This has been fun. Thanks for all the great questions, especially the ones about enjoyable software. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. And I might actually give you an update. Maybe there's even going to be a blog post about it. Who knows? And I'll be doing a few last things for today, and then I'll be off into the weekend. I hope you are going to have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend as well. I hope to see you next week. And especially thank you to everyone who is part of the server room, my community of practice. If you want to become a member, the membership fees are definitely affordable, especially compared to what you get. And a bunch of connecting with a bunch of friendly people is only the most superficial perk of that. So thank you for everyone who is actually a member, and welcome if you want to become one. And then there's of course also our Discord. If you'd like to continue the conversation over the weekend and cross streams, then feel free to join us there as well. Discord is open to everyone. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. And I guess we'll see each other next week. Also, speaking of next week and the server room, on Tuesday night we're going to have our February hangout. The hangout is where we get together on a video call and simply chat whatever is in on our minds. It's a very friendly and chill evening or afternoon, and that's definitely also going to be fun. And so Tuesday at 8 p.m. UTC, the server room hangout. I'm very much looking forward to that. And until we talk again, take care.